Imagine this: a corroded, unassuming lump of bronze, pulled from the seabed over a century ago. It eventually reveals itself not as just some ancient debris, but as the world's first known analog computer.
It really is incredible. I mean, this wasn't just a remarkable artifact, it was a technological revelation.
Yeah.
It completely rewrote our understanding of ancient Greek ingenuity.
Yeah, a single discovery shifting our whole perception. It makes you wonder what else we thought we knew, right?
Exactly. It forces us to reconsider the scientific capabilities, the engineering prowess of civilizations way back then, far beyond what we typically assume.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today: the incredible story of the Antikythera Mechanism.
Such a fascinating object.
Dating back to somewhere between 205 and 60 BCE, this hand-cranked device was an astronomical calculator of staggering sophistication, meticulously designed to predict the movements of the cosmos. So, our mission today is to unpack this intricate, ancient 3D puzzle. We're drawing on recent breakthroughs, including some really groundbreaking new research that's finally reconstructed how the mechanism's front display operated.
Which was a huge mystery for a long time.
Right. And this research details the ingenious mathematical methods the ancient Greeks might have used to derive the complex astronomical periods it calculated. You are truly going to see the ancient world in a new light after this.
Well, the journey to understand it is almost as amazing as the device itself. It's a testament to persistent inquiry, really.
So where did it begin? How was it found?
It all started back in 1901. Greek sponge divers exploring a Roman shipwreck off the island of Antikythera. They stumbled upon this, well, treasure trove. Statues, jewelry, pottery.
The usual shipwreck finds, maybe?
Sort of.
Yeah.
But among these, they found this strangely formed, heavily corroded lump of metal. Initially, it was just, well, junk. It looked like nothing much.
Understandable after centuries underwater.
Exactly. It took another year, until 1902, for a Greek archaeologist, Valerios Stais, to truly recognize its potential. He spotted interlocking gears.
No way!
Yes, and faint Greek inscriptions just peeking through millennia of corrosion. Imagine seeing that.
That must have been a jaw-dropping moment, a truly pivotal moment. But this wasn't a pristine discovery, was it? It wasn't like pulling a working clock out of the sea.
Not at all. The mechanism was fragmented into 82 pieces, and only about 30 surviving bronze gears.
Wow, 82 fragments.
Yeah, so imagine trying to solve a puzzle with most of the pieces missing, and the ones you do have are damaged, encrusted, barely recognizable. For decades, piecing together its full purpose was this monumental, baffling challenge.
So we know how it was found, this incredible journey from seabed junk to potential marvel. Now let's shift to the marvel itself. What was this incredible ancient computer actually designed to do?
Okay, so at its core, it was a portable, hand-cranked astronomical calculator. You have to picture it housed in a wooden box, maybe roughly the size of a shoebox or a mantle clock, and packed inside with intricate bronze gears, dials, rotating pointers. A user could turn a small crank, inputting a date perhaps, and instantly see a celestial forecast unfold right in front of them.
So that front display wasn't just decorative, it was showing something dynamic.
Well, absolutely dynamic. This was a real-time model of the ancient Greek cosmos. The front dial was central, showed the zodiac chart and a solar calendar.
Standard stuff for astronomy back then.
Well, yes and no. The real genius was predicting the positions of the sun, the moon, and all 5 planets known in antiquity: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn.
All 5, mechanically.
The back cover inscription, one of those tests deciphered later, actually describes this as a planetarium arranged in concentric rings. The planets marked by little spheres, it says, and the sun by a little golden sphere.
Little spheres on rings. That sounds quite advanced.
It was incredibly advanced. This ring system offered significant advantages over just having simple pointers on a flat dial. For example, it eliminated something called parallax issues.
Parallax issues. Okay, what are those and why was getting rid of them so important for accuracy?
Right. Think of it like this. Hold your finger up, look at it with just your left eye, then just your right eye. See how it seems to jump against the background?
Yeah, I see.
That apparent shift is parallax. So with simple pointers on a flat dial, if you weren't looking absolutely straight on, the pointer could look like it's pointing at a different date or position than it actually was.
Okay, makes sense.
But by using these rings, where the planetary spheres move directly on their tracks, that visual ambiguity was vastly reduced. It ensured a much more accurate reading for whoever was using it.
Fascinating. Okay, so the front dial was this incredible real-time map of the cosmos, solving for planetary positions, avoiding parallax. But the device did more than just that, didn't it? What about the back? What secrets did those back dials hold?
Oh, the back dials were equally impressive, if not more so in some ways. They could predict both solar and lunar eclipses with remarkable accuracy.
Eclipses too, wow.
Yes. And it even had this ingenious gear system, a kind of pin and slot mechanism, to model the moon's irregular orbit. The moon speeds up and slows down.
Right, that's incredibly complex to model mechanically, I'd imagine.
Extremely. Beyond that, it precisely tracked various lunar cycles, calculated the metonic cycle that's a 19-year period crucial for aligning solar and lunar calendars.
Which was important for festivals and agriculture, stuff like that.
Exactly, and it could even track the Olympiad cycle, which was important for dating the ancient games.
That level of precision,
Yeah.
those finely cut bronze gears. Didn't historians believe that kind of clockwork-like technology only emerged much, much later, like in medieval Europe?
This is where it gets truly mind-blowing. The Antikythera Mechanism completely shattered those previous assumptions.
Right.
Before its detailed study, historians generally believed such sophisticated precision gearing, with complex differentials and epiclic system,
Right.
only appeared in Europe around the 14th century with the first big mechanical clocks. This ancient device predated those by over 1,000 years. It revealed an unprecedented level of ancient Greek engineering. It's unique. There's nothing else like it from that time. It single-handedly rewrites our knowledge of ancient tech capabilities.
So, if it was so advanced and it was discovered over a century ago, why has it taken so long for us to really understand it? You mentioned the fragments. Reconstructing this thing must have been incredibly hard.
The challenge was immense. Absolutely. For decades, even though there was some progress on understanding the rear mechanisms, the eclipse prediction, the calendar cycles, the front display, the planetarium part, remained deeply controversial, as researchers put it. There was just a significant loss of physical evidence, corrosion, missing pieces.
Right.
And many early attempts to reconstruct it just couldn't reconcile all the fragmented data, the inscriptions, the gear counts, into a complete coherent display of the ancient Greek cosmos that actually worked mechanically. It was a fiendishly complex, multi-dimensional puzzle with critical pieces missing or hidden.
So how did modern scientists finally start to crack this ancient code, especially for that notoriously difficult front display? What changed?
Technology, really. Advanced technology stepped in. In the 2000s, tools like microfocus X-ray computed tomography, basically a superpowered CT scan, creating detailed 3D images.
Like a medical scan, but for artifacts.
Exactly, but much higher resolution.
Yeah.
And another technique called polynomial texture mapping, or PTM, which helps reveal surface details. These became game changers.
So.
They allowed researchers to peer inside the corroded fragments, to decode hidden inscriptions buried under layers of crud, and uncover the device's intricate internal structure without damaging it.
Wow.
It was like giving the fragments a voice after millennia of silence.
Yep.
And most recently, building on all that previous work, the UCL research team, led by Tony Freeth, proposed a successful model for the front that finally seems to match all the available data, the physical fragments and those faint inscriptions.
And those inscriptions. They weren't just random markings, were they? You said they were like a user manual from 200 BCE, offering absolutely crucial clues.
That's exactly right. These weren't decorative. They provided a literal user manual explaining the display and critically contained specific astronomical data the machine was built around.
Like what kind of data?
Well, the front cover inscription, the SCI, specifically lifted these surprisingly complex periods. For Venus, it mentioned 462 synodic cycles in 289 years, and for Saturn, 442 synodic cycles in 427 years.
Okay, let's pause there for a second. You mentioned synodic cycles. Can you break that down for us? What does that mean?
Sure. A synodic cycle, or synodic period, is basically the time it takes for a planet to return to the same position relative to the sun as we see it from Earth. Think about Venus. Sometimes it's an evening star, sometimes a morning star. The synodic cycle is the time it takes to go through that whole cycle and appear back in the same place relative to the sun. So for Venus, the inscription implied that every 289 years, it completes 462 of these cycles, returning to the same phase and position in our sky relative to the sun. Now, these specific numbers, 462 and 289 for Venus, 442 and 427 for Saturn, were particularly intriguing.
Why?
Well, first, they were unknown from Babylonian astronomy, which usually heavily influenced Greek calculations. This suggested a unique Greek development. And second, they posed a significant challenge for mechanization because of their prime factors.
Prime factors. Okay, you're hitting me with some math terms today. Why are prime factors so important when you're trying to build a machine with gears?
It's a great question, and it's absolutely key to understanding the genius here. Think of prime factors as the fundamental building blocks of numbers. Numbers like 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17. They can only be divided by themselves and 1.
Right, I remember those from school.
Okay, so for gears, using numbers with shared small prime factors is incredibly important. It allows for efficient and compact designs. You need a specific gear ratio, say 1151 turns to 720 turns. Well, 1151 is a prime number.
Oh.
Exactly. That means you'd ideally need a gear with 1151 teeth interacting with one with 720 teeth. An 1151 tooth gear is astronomically large, totally impractical for a device this size.
Okay, I see the problem.
But if you can find a ratio that uses numbers, you can break down into smaller shared prime factors, like using factors of 2, 3, 5, 7. It's like having Lego bricks that snap together easily.
Yeah.
You can build up complex ratios using multiple smaller manageable gears. It allows for a much more economical and smaller gear train.
So the ancient Greeks had these really accurate astronomical observations, maybe some from the Babylonians, some their own, but figuring out how to represent them mechanically with gears was a whole other problem, especially with numbers that weren't easily broken down into those gear-friendly prime factors. That sounds like a huge design constraint.
It was precisely that, a monumental constraint. Ancient Greek astronomers were deeply fascinated by planetary motions. They understood many synodic cycles. But they faced this dilemma. Some of their most accurate known period relations, like that 720 synodic cycles and 1151 years for Venus, involved numbers that were essentially unfactorizable in a practical mechanical sense.
Right, the 1151 tooth gear problem.
Exactly. You can't realistically make that for a device the size of a shoebox. This meant they needed to find slightly less astronomically perfect but mechanizable period relations. And this is where those newly discovered periods for Venus, 462, 289, and Saturn, 442, 427, from the inscriptions, proved so vital. Because those numbers could be factored down into smaller, manageable prime factors suitable for gears.
Okay, here's where it gets truly fascinating today. How did the Greeks manage to find these just right numbers for their gears numbers that were both accurate enough and mechanizable? They didn't have calculators, let alone computers. How did they do the math?
This is where the UCL team proposed a really groundbreaking theory. They connected it to a mathematical process described way back in Plato's dialogue, Parmenides. It's pretty complex, but they believe the ancient Greeks likely used a modified version of this process, something the researchers call an unconstrained Parmenides process, or UPP.
Okay, Parmenides process.
Yeah.
What did that let them do?
Think of it like this. Imagine you're trying to find a rhythm that's almost exactly like a very complex beat, the true astronomical period, but you can only use simple drum taps, like multiples of easily gearable numbers. The UPP was essentially a methodical mathematical technique, a way of generating various linear combinations of known periods. It let them systematically search for and test different numerical ratios until they found ones that were, 1, close enough to the true astronomical periods, and 2, mathematically suitable for building with gears.
So it wasn't just about finding any ratio, but the right ratio for building the machine. Balancing that accuracy with the practicalities of gear making. What criteria would the ancient designers have used to pick the best ones from all the possibilities this UPP might have spat out?
The researchers identified 3 key criteria they think the ancient designers applied. First, obviously accuracy. Was the chosen period relation sufficiently close to the best known exact periods, even if those exact periods themselves were unfactorizable?
Okay, how did you close enough?
Second, factorizability. Could it actually be mechanized with moderate-sized gears? Ideally, gears with under, say, 100 teeth. which meant its numerical components needed to break down into those small, manageable prime factors we talked about.
Right, practical to build.
And third, economy. Could the chosen ratios generate economical gear trains? Specifically, could they find ratios that shared prime factors between different planets? This would allow them to reuse gears or have gears serve multiple functions, reducing the total number of gears needed and keeping the device compact.
Economy makes so much sense in such a packed little box. Can you give us an example of that gear-sharing ingenuity? How did that work?
Absolutely. The research suggests a brilliant example. For Venus and Mercury, the two inner planets, the chosen period relations, seem to share a common prime factor of 17 in their synodic cycles.
Okay.
This likely allowed them to use shared gears within their specific mechanisms, saving space and complexity. Similarly, for Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, the outer or superior planets, their chosen cycles seem to share a factor of 7.
A factor of 7 for all three.
Yes, which meant they could potentially use a single 56-tooth fixed gear, that's 8 times 7, that played a role in the gear trains for all three superior planets and the true sun pointer. It's incredibly efficient design, making the whole thing fit within that small wooden box.
Wow, so this mathematical process, the UPP, combined with these three clever design criteria: accuracy, factorizability, economy. It wasn't just a way to explain the gears they found, like for Venus and Saturn. It could actually predict the missing pieces of the puzzle, too?
That's the really remarkable part, and what gives the theory such weight. When they applied the UPP combined with these three criteria, it didn't just explain the Venus and Saturn periods found in the inscriptions. It also almost uniquely generates, as they put it, the most likely period relations for Mercury and Mars, the planets whose mechanisms were largely missing.
So it filled in the blanks.
It strongly suggests the specific gear ratios they would have used for those planets too. It points to this profound underlying mathematical and engineering methodology that seems to define the entire machine's design, not just piecemeal solutions, but a unified approach.
Okay, so once they understood this ancient mathematical blueprint, how did the modern team go about reconstructing the actual mechanical cosmos? How did they translate those numbers back into physical gears? What kind of theoretical mechanisms did they propose?
Right, so based on these deciphered period relations and those three design criteria, the team devised entirely new theoretical mechanisms that fit the evidence. For the inferior planets, Mercury and Venus, the ones inside Earth's orbit, they proposed ingenious 5-gear epicyclic systems.
Epicyclic systems. Okay, that sounds complicated again. What exactly are we talking about there? Is it like gears on gears?
That's a pretty good way to think about it. An epicyclic system is basically where some gears rotate around other moving gears, rather than just spinning on a fixed axle. Imagine a planet orbiting a sun, and then a moon orbiting that planet. It's a similar idea of layered, interconnected motion, but done with gears.
Ah, okay. Why use that?
Well, these systems are crucial because they allow you to create complex, non-linear movements from simple rotation. And that's exactly what you need to accurately model the apparent motions of planets from Earth, which often seem to speed up, slow down, or even go backwards, retrograde motion. Epicyclic gears let you replicate that complex dance using a surprisingly compact set of gears.
Clever. And what about the outer planets?
For the superior planets Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, they envision novel 7-gear indirect mechanisms. These achieve similar goals, accurately modeling their motions while being economical with gears and fitting everything into that incredibly tight space.
And what about the famous eclipse prediction stuff on the back? How did that fit into this reconstructed picture, especially with the front display?
Good question. While the back dials were better understood earlier, the new model reinforces their connection to the front. What's particularly insightful in the recent work is the strong theoretical argument for including a dragon hand mechanism, likely on the front display.
A dragon hand, what would that do?
It would have indicated the lunar nodes. These are the two invisible points in space where the moon's orbit crosses the sun's apparent path in the sky, the ecliptic.
And the lunar nodes are critical for predicting eclipses, right? Because an eclipse can only happen when the moon is near one of those crossing points during a new or full moon.
Precisely. So having a dragon hand showing the nodes would visually link the planetary positions on the front with the eclipse prediction cycles on the back. It would beautifully unify the whole device into an even more comprehensive astronomical compendium.
Is there physical proof of the dragon hand?
There's no direct surviving physical evidence of that specific pointer. However, its thematic relevance is huge. It fits the astronomical goals, and the researchers showed how such a mechanism could be easily integrated into their model, so it remains a very compelling theoretical element for the complete machine.
It sounds like a perfect theoretical puzzle, beautifully solved on paper, but how did these modern theories actually match up with the lumpy, corroded physical fragments that still survive? Was it a good fit?
This is where the detective work gets incredibly specific and, frankly, quite satisfying. The team meticulously matched their theoretical gear models to every surviving physical piece and feature. For instance, on Fragment A, there's the main drive wheel, called B1. It has 4 distinct spokes and pillars.
Okay.
These features provided a definitive physical framework, a kind of mounting structure that perfectly accommodated the complex epicyclic system their mathematical model predicted for the planets. It wasn't just a random structure, it fit the theory. And remember Fragment D. It had been a bit of a mystery piece before. In this new model, it was finally identified as containing the crucial epicyclic components for Venus specifically, a key gear and a supporting plate. It was a perfect match for their proposed 5-gear system for Venus, derived from the UPP and the inscriptions.
So the physical pieces started clicking into place with the theory.
Exactly. The theory explained the previously puzzling features of the fragments.
And given the device's small size, you mentioned space must have been an enormous constraint. How did they physically fit all these intricate gears for the sun, moon, and 5 planets into something so small?
Indeed. The researchers constantly highlight the extremely limited space available. We're talking about fitting multiple complex gear trains into something maybe the size of a thick book.
How'd they do it?
The solution involved ingenious, closely packed layers of gears. They weren't just side by side, they were stacked vertically, intricately constructed within very narrow spaces, sometimes with only about 15 millimeters, maybe less than an inch, between the main plates holding everything together.
That's incredible precision.
It truly was a marvel of miniaturization for its time. It required not just the mathematical genius to design it, but incredible precision machining skills to actually make it.
So what about the final visual display? We talked about the rings. How would a user have actually seen all these celestial predictions laid out clearly?
The output was this elegant ring system, which, as we noted, aligned perfectly with the descriptions found in the back cover inscription. It seems much clearer and more direct than earlier models that used multiple pointers on one dial.
And the planets were marked somehow.
Yes, likely with semi-precious stones or maybe small colored beads, serving as little spheres mentioned in the text, identifying each planet on its respective ring. This system, again, not only solved those parallax issues we discussed,
Right, for accuracy.
but it also enhanced the overall clarity of all the astronomical outputs. And it allowed for an innovative index letter scheme. The sun pointer, as it moved, would align with letters inscribed on the planetary rings, and these letters likely referenced specific synodic events like conjunctions or stations described in the text of the front cover inscription.
So it wasn't just showing positions, but highlighting key events too.
Exactly. It truly was an impressive tour de force of ancient Greek brilliance, blending astronomy, mathematics, and engineering into a single, functional, and probably quite beautiful object.
So when we zoom out a bit from the gears and the math, what does this all mean for our understanding of history and ancient technology? What's the big picture takeaway?
Well, broadly speaking, the Antikythera Mechanism completely, utterly challenges all our preconceptions about the technological capabilities of the ancient Greeks.
Yeah.
That's not an exaggeration.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
It proves they possessed a level of engineering skill, mechanical sophistication, and mathematical application thought not to exist until, well, the Renaissance, or even later in some respects. Over 1,000 years later, it fundamentally reshapes our understanding of ancient science and innovation. It's a powerful testament to how much more there might be to learn about the past.
And who is the genius behind it all, or geniuses? Is there a definitive answer to who actually built this incredible machine?
That remains one of the enduring mysteries, doesn't it? It adds to its allure. There's ongoing debate. Some scholars speculate it might have been linked to a towering figure like Archimedes.
Wow, Archimedes?
Possibly. Or maybe the great astronomer Hipparchus. Or perhaps it wasn't a single person but came from a specialist workshop, maybe on the island of Rhodes, which was a known center for astronomy and mechanics back then.
So we don't know for sure.
We don't. And there's even still debate over its precise startup date, the date the mechanism was initially set to. Some researchers propose December 22, 178 BCE, based on eclipse patterns. Others argue for an earlier date, like May 12, 204 BCE, based on other astronomical alignments. The specific origin point, the creator, still a puzzle.
But regardless of the exact who or when, it's clear this wasn't just a simple tool or some rich person's scientific curiosity. It was something more profound.
Oh, absolutely, not just a toy. It was a true computational instrument for mathematical astronomy. It brilliantly combined astronomical cycles, many likely derived from centuries of Babylonian observation, with profound Greek geometry and mathematics, and then realized it all through superb, sophisticated engineering.
It's the combination that's stunning.
It is. It could predict this staggering array of astronomical phenomena: planetary positions, ecliptic longitudes, eclipse seasons, the precise phase, and even the age of the moon on any given day, calendar cycles, even the timing of the Olympiad cycle. It represents what some scholars have called the first steps toward the mechanization of mathematics and science.
The first steps.
Yeah. This humble collection of corroded bronze gears and dials shows us that even 2,000 years ago, people were reaching for the stars, not just in their imagination or philosophy, but with their hands and minds, building incredibly sophisticated tools to understand their place in the cosmos.
It's truly humbling. This ancient computer, lost for millennia at the bottom of the sea, rediscovered purely by chance, and pieced together over a century. It really forces us to question how much other human ingenuity from the past might still be hidden from us, doesn't it?
Absolutely. What other incredible inventions were created, perhaps used for a time, then lost, forgotten, maybe only to be reinvented centuries later? We might never know.
The Antikythera Mechanism stands as this powerful, tangible reminder. A reminder that the human quest for knowledge, that drive to understand the universe, and the sheer capacity for innovation, well, they truly know no bounds, reaching for the stars, quite literally, with hands and minds across all of time.